The moment the clip begins, the atmosphere is already tight. No warm introduction, no gradual build, just Crockett opening with a question directed at Obama, polite in tone but firm in intent. His reply is steady, almost overly steady, the kind of steadiness people use when preparing for criticism. Crockett notices. She presses once more. Then again, quieter, more direct. The tension in the room shifts. Someone adjusts their seat. Someone releases a slow breath. Everyone senses the conflict approaching before either of them acknowledges it. It's clear this isn't a celebratory interview. It's accountability delivered respectfully, a generational challenge presented as conversation, and the next inquiry is about to move it from uneasy to unavoidable. Crockett starts with a calm tone, measured but deliberate. Obama nods once, controlled, intentional. But his response arrives a moment late. She catches it. The room catches it. A follow-up arrives before he completes his sentence. Not disrespectful, precise. It makes him restart his explanation, and that brief reset shifts the dynamic slightly. Obama tries expanding the context, a typical reframing technique, but Crockett narrows it again with a concise clarification, a small eyebrow raise, a subtle lean forward, pressure delivered through politeness. He gives a longer explanation than required, not an error, but not full confidence either. A chair moves quietly in the background, sharp against the silence. Crockett mentions the weight of decisions, casually on the surface, but it lands as a pointed reminder. Obama straightens his posture, a small sign. He recognizes the direction she's moving toward. She lets the pause sit, not long, just enough to be noticed. Then comes the shift. So when you say responsibility, President Obama, what does that actually mean to you? A direct hit, respectful tone, exact wording. He inhales slowly, choosing the safest way through a suddenly narrowing line of questioning. Crockett doesn't look away, not once. The balance of the conversation moves slightly, but the room feels it clearly. Crockett softens her voice, calm, almost gentle. Let's talk drones, she says, sounding neutral, as if offering a simple transition. Obama nods, relieved for a brief moment, a misplaced reaction. Her next question cuts through the moment. When you described them as precise, what exactly were you measuring? The room tightens again. Obama exhales through his nose, controlled but short. He broadens the discussion immediately. National security, threat assessments, global risk. The familiar language that typically fits. Crockett doesn't let it settle. She tilts her head slightly, an interrogation gesture softened into curiosity. So precision, in actual practice, meant what? Fewer errors or acceptable ones? A faint murmur moves through the back row. Not loud, not distracting, just enough to show people are preparing themselves. Obama answers with quick pacing. Too quick at first, then adjusted mid-line. A small stumble he smooths out but can't fully hide. Crockett notices the slip instantly. She presses again, still calm, still respectful. Because the families affected, did they experience that precision? The phrasing lands harder than the volume. Obama shifts his weight. Small movement. Clear signal. He tries a moral argument about difficult decisions. She cuts in, gently. Difficult for whom? Silence follows, a tight, uneasy kind. Someone coughs and immediately regrets it. Obama starts another explanation, slower now, choosing each word. Crockett stays still, offering no help, no cushion. She lets the responsibility sit where it belongs. Then the pivot. So when you said it was the right call, was that certainty or protection? A quiet damn slips out from off camera. Obama hears it. He blinks once, longer than usual. Crockett's tone remains steady, unshaken. Careful words, rising pressure. The tension builds even though her voice never rises. Obama reaches for the timeline, confident at first, practiced, familiar ground. Crockett lets him say 6 words before she breaks through it. Hold on, your statement from that month doesn't match the impact data from that same week. Direct hit, he stops mid-thought, a moment of stillness, long enough for everyone to catch it. A hesitation forms, not in sound, but in intention. He restarts. Wrong move. Crockett taps the table lightly, one finger, one beat, a signal that she's narrowing the focus. You said operational certainty, but the numbers show operational variation. Which one is accurate? Obama attempts humor, a soft laugh. It doesn't work. Crockett doesn't even pretend to smile. Neither does the room. Silence absorbs the attempt. He shifts strategy, adding context, pressure, competing intel. Crockett steps in with a quiet, precise question. So the gap, is that memory or messaging? His jaw tightens. Small motion, clear slip. He becomes defensive, describing conditions instead of owning decisions. Crockett listens like she's watching a pattern break. That's interesting, she says, voice neutral, because survivors describe a very different timeline. A sharp inhale comes from the back row. Obama hears it. His rhythm falters, half-second delay, then an abrupt correction. Too firm, too fast. Crockett leans in slightly. Not aggressive, evaluative. President Obama, where did the chain of certainty fail? Because it did fail. His eyes narrow, reassessing his safest option. But every path circles back to the inconsistency she highlighted. Crockett doesn't raise her voice. She raises the stakes. If precision was the standard, then who is accountable for the days it wasn't? The room shifts subtly, a shared, uneasy movement. Obama answers slower now, measured, weighted. A man trying to repair a gap as he speaks. And Crockett waits, letting the weight of the contradiction expand until he can't avoid it. Crockett pivots smoothly, no warning. Let's talk bailouts, she says, like dropping a spark in dry grass. Obama braces, his shoulders tightening before his expression does. He knows this topic well. He also knows she's about to challenge the framing. She begins calm, almost conversational. You called them necessary stabilizers. He nods, steady, prepared. Then she applies pressure. But stabilizers for whom exactly? Obama shifts into structured explanation. Markets, preventing collapse, shielding everyday Americans from broader fallout. Coherent, polished, predictable. Crockett lets him finish. Not from politeness, but strategy. Then asks, so institutions got life preservers, while families got lectures on resilience? The line lands with controlled force. Someone in the front leans back in their seat. Obama corrects her framing, the familiar, respectfully, that isn't accurate approach. But his tone tightens, revealing the effort behind it. Crockett notices, stores it, and pushes further. You protected the ones already afloat, she says, still even. And the people sinking, what did they receive besides patience? A quiet murmur moves through the room, quickly subdued. Not anger, recognition. Obama responds firmly, job loss estimates, system-wide danger, potential collapse. All valid, all insufficient under her increasingly focused questioning. Crockett cuts through with a direct question. And when those same institutions posted record profits, where was the accountability? Who ensured the rescue wasn't simply a reward? His answer begins strong and then weakens exactly where oversight shifts into hindsight. Crockett catches it instantly. She leans in, voice softer, because it sounds like the economy was repaired, while the people were left damaged. The silence afterward changes the room. Obama swallows, small but noticeable. He tries a moral explanation. Shared burden, unavoidable decisions. She intercepts immediately. Is that what you told the families who never recovered? A sharp breath comes from behind the cameras. Obama's jaw tightens. He starts choosing words with careful precision. Crockett stays steady, still, unyielding. Then she delivers the generational point. President Obama, for my generation, the bailout wasn't policy. It was the moment we learned who the system protects. He pauses just slightly too long. Enough for the room to feel it. Enough for the momentum to shift. The pressure isn't loud, it's controlled. And for the first time, Obama seems to be responding from the past, while she speaks from the future. Crockett moves slowly now, deliberately. Obama eases a bit, mistaking the change. That brief comfort becomes the opening. She places two papers on the table. No build-up, no performance. Just a quiet motion that pulls the room forward. Here's your 2013 justification, she says, tapping the first sheet. You called the strike clear, necessary, and proportionate. Obama nods, steady, prepared. He believes he knows the direction. Then she taps the second page. And here are the casualty figures from that same week. The room stills, a silence with weight. Obama reads the number. His eyes shift, barely but unmistakably. A small break in composure. Subtle, significant. Crockett waits. She watches the reactions settle. Obama inhales, slow, deliberate, but the breath catches partway. The camera captures it. Everyone does. He starts explaining before she poses another question, a defensive move he rarely uses. The intelligence shifted, he says. The context changed. I don't think it's fair to, she interrupts quietly. President Obama, you didn't include these names in your public statements. A murmur spreads, quick, sharp. Someone mutters, oh shit, without trying to hide it. Obama closes his mouth for a full second, not deciding, pausing. Uncommon, unprotected. He tries again. We addressed every loss. She cuts him off. No, you addressed the policy, not the people. Another murmur, stronger now, pressure moving through the room. Obama straightens, formal posture, full authority, but Crockett meets it without hesitation. You said the strike was proportionate, she continues, voice controlled and focused. Proportionate to what? A metric? A model? A risk assessment? He attempts to shift the moral framing. She refuses to follow. That number, she says, tapping the page again, is not proportion. It's impact. The room absorbs the line before he fully processes it. A camera operator exhales. Someone shifts, the sound catching on the floor. Obama's expression tightens, not anger, not irritation, something deeper. Recognition. He goes quiet, very quiet. Crockett waits. She lets the silence extend until it becomes its own form of accountability. Then she delivers the defining question. Calm, direct. Would you have defended that strike the same way if these names had been American? Gasps. Not dramatic, instinctive, human. Obama closes his eyes for a fraction of a second. A breath ending, a defense ending, any remaining doubt about the shift in control ending. He opens them again, measured, calmer, but noticeably older in tone. His answer comes slower now, stripped of the certainty he began with, and Crockett simply listens, letting the weight of the question shape everything that follows. Obama tries to steady the moment, returning to moral grounding. We have to remember the values that guided every decision, he begins. Familiar ground, a line that usually resets a conversation. Crockett doesn't allow it. She leans back, not forward, changing the balance of the exchange. A subtle shift disguised as casual posture. Values, she repeats quietly, almost reflective. Then, respectfully, that sounds like the comfort of distance. A ripple moves through the room, not protest, agreement. Obama hears it. His jaw sets. He begins the reversal. He tries to regain footing, lowering his voice, adding emphasis. No one carried that burden more seriously than I did. Crockett tilts her head, unmoved. Then why do your explanations feel lighter than the consequences? A breath catches behind the cameras. Obama shifts, slightly, but clearly he feels it too. His next response comes quicker. Too practiced, too reactive. Crockett cuts in mid-thought, clean, precise. You're describing responsibility. I'm asking about accountability. It lands directly. Obama stops speaking mid-sentence. He recalibrates, eyes tightening, searching for stable terrain. She offers none. You say you stood by every call, but when the outcomes changed, your stance didn't. Wes, he exhales, controlled but tense. You're oversimplifying a complex reality. Crockett responds instantly. No, I'm clarifying a moral one. Murmurs rise, unfiltered, noticeable. A camera operator mutters, oh man, too close to the mic. Obama leans in now, breaking his earlier composure. He raises a point about global constraints. Crockett cuts it down with 4 words. Constraints don't bury names. The room stills again. This time, Obama breaks the silence first. Not to challenge, to explain. A shift so clear it feels structural. He softens his tone, an unintentional concession. These were extremely difficult decisions, he says, voice lower. Crockett replies with a whisper, sharper than anything louder. Difficult for who? Another gasp, real, immediate. Obama blinks slowly, heavily. He opens his hands slightly, a gesture meant to show openness, but carrying defensiveness. Crockett recognizes it instantly. You keep focusing on intent, she says. My generation lives with impact. Power moves in a single breath. He can feel it. She never had to chase it. Obama attempts one more pivot. Broad moral principles, the burden of leadership. Crockett removes the foundation beneath it. Leadership isn't the burden. The aftermath is. He goes silent. Not strategically, not for effect. Stuck between explaining the past and facing it. Crockett stays steady, composed. The shift is complete. Obama defending, Crockett defining. And the room is already sensing who speaks like the future. Crockett lowers her voice, just above a whisper. Instant shift. The room leans in without intending to. Let's slow down, she says, and somehow it feels more serious than anything earlier. Obama straightens, a reflex. Preparation or concern, hard to judge. She asks the next question as if handing him something fragile. When the push for stability created new harm, who absorbed the cost you didn't? Obama responds a bit too quickly. A clear sign. He's filling silence instead of shaping an argument. His answer begins broad, moral, predictable, then tightens as he realizes she isn't looking away. Crockett tracks every word, every pause, every shift of posture. She's analyzing, not arguing. He shifts to complexity, the oldest form of political protection. Crockett nods once. A quiet trap disguised as agreement. Complicated, she says softly, is what people hear right before they learn they were never part of the math. A muted reaction passes through the room. Someone lets out a quiet, not disrespect, recognition. Obama slows down now. A lot. The rhythm isn't presidential anymore. It's cautious, exposed, measured, like he's checking each step. Crockett's posture stays neutral. No leaning in, no stepping back. Just holding the moment in place, the smallest space of the entire interview. President Obama, she continues, still soft enough to sharpen the air. If the policy protected the system but harmed the people, is that success or just damage with better wording? His eyes drop for half a second, a blink disguised as reflection. But everyone notices. He tries to reset. Deep breath, steady tone. Moral weight. She lifts a finger, a tiny gesture. Stops him immediately. One more thing, she adds. Where should accountability sit when the outcomes don't match the confidence? The room goes still again. Not dramatic stillness. The kind where everyone senses a line has been crossed and they're not sure Obama can walk it back. His answer comes slowly. Almost too slowly. Not defensive, intentional. As if he knows his next words will shape the reaction that follows. Crockett stays calm, still, controlled. And for the first time, Obama answers as someone standing inside the consequences, not above them. When Obama finishes, the room doesn't move. No cough, no shifting chairs, just the weight of everything left unsaid resting between them. Crockett doesn't jump in. She lets the silence settle, the most honest moment of the exchange. He looks older here, not physically, but in the way people look when they realize parts of their legacy aren't theirs to shield anymore. Crockett speaks first, voice steady, almost gentle. You've explained the decisions. You've defended the choices. But the people who live through them, they don't get either. They only get the aftermath. A faint exhale moves through the room, sad, not sharp, not blame, truth. Obama nods once, slowly, a wordless concession. a recognition that explanation and accountability aren't the same. Crockett continues, tone low enough to ground the moment. My generation grew up inside the fallout of policies we never voted for. We inherited the burden without the power. He doesn't counter. He doesn't reshape the point. He simply listens. The first real shift since the exchange began. History will sort out intent, she adds, but impact, that's the part we're still carrying. A deep quiet spreads. Less tension, more reckoning. Obama finally responds, voice stripped of earlier framing. Maybe legacy isn't what we meant to do. Maybe it's what people remember anyway. Crockett nods once, not victorious, not blaming, just acknowledging the truth he finally stepped into. The room exhales together. The pressure fades into something heavier, quieter, more human. Crockett closes the moment with one line, gentle, but impossible to overlook. Decisions echo longer than terms, President Obama. And he doesn't challenge it. When the exchange ends, the room doesn't return to normal. It stays suspended, heavy and uneasy, like everyone is waiting for the space to reset. Obama's last words remain in the air, no longer defensive, but carrying a weight that feels long expected. Crockett doesn't continue. She doesn't have to. The conversation has already done its work. What's left is the silence, the kind that makes people rethink what they assumed, the kind that follows a truth spoken plainly enough that it can't be dismissed. This becomes the part of the clip that spreads, not the intensity, not the conflict, but the recognition that legacies aren't fixed. They're questioned, reshaped, and reclaimed by those who live with the outcomes. If you watch this moment unfold, what question would you ask someone who shaped the story of your generation?